Thank you, Jennifer. The fourth Sunday of Advent. Friends, the world feels still upside down to me. How are you all doing? We're still locked down, a virtually empty sanctuary. I sure miss seeing you. I know you are missing the usual gatherings, your plans. I hope you're lighting candles. Are you lighting candles with us on Sunday as we watch the children, the families light different colors? I hope you are. I hope that they're reminders that you're able to find peace and hope and joy and love in your community of friends, in your church community, in your memory of years gone by. It's very draining not being able to see our loved ones. I hear that a lot right now. It's very draining not to be able to see our families, our best friends. I thank you for sharing with us how it is for you, how it's been for you this very COVID Christmas, because we want to be real, we want to be honest about how it's going for us. And I have to tell you, to preach about love and joy in the midst of a pandemic is not an easy thing. It's a bit of a hard sell, believe me. But here we are with some eternal messages, some old stories and some new. We know that online worship, even when it's done with such care as we've put into it, is second best. Our communications team, you can't ever see them here, Joan, Ryan, and Trison, they're stellar. But it's nothing like running into somebody in the foyer, is it? Or having a cup of coffee together after the service. We all miss singing, even if it's wonderful to hear Jennifer's solo. We miss singing together. It's such a part of Christmas. Whether it's here in the church or just in other situations, other concerts, other gatherings, the fundraisers we usually have here in this church, the CBC Food Bank Day, things like that. We want to be real that it doesn't feel right this year. So thank you for every moment that you're able to be gentle with us, with each other, and so importantly, with yourself. To give yourself the gift of joy and love, even in the midst of a very different Christmas. Maybe even more than ever before in my time, in my lifetime. As a denomination, as a country, we have some insight and some connection with what the Holy Family was actually going through, those feelings. That time when Mary ran to be with Elizabeth, she was so vulnerable. Maybe we understand a bit more about that now. We might all feel like she did, seeking security and safety, seeking to be somewhere. And so she went to Elizabeth, wonderful Elizabeth, whose reaction was sheer joy, whose welcome was heartfelt, whose love is still talked about now. And Mary's response to her still lifts us up with her courage and her hope, her prophetic voice. The hungry shall be fed. That day will come when the rich are sent away, but those on the margins will have warm coats and good homes and 3 meals a day. We might feel a little bit like Mary waiting and waiting in her pregnancy as we wait for that day of justice, that day of hope. And so what we have then is what we've got this year, is a chance to continue to sing even behind our masks in the midst of it all. David announced that today, this very day, is the day called Worldwide Candlelighting Day. And it's a over 20 years old now, started in '97 by Compassionate Friends, which is the organization for people who've lost children. And at 7 o'clock, as David said, local time for an hour, those who've lost children will light a candle and encircle the globe. What started quite small is huge now. And that's a tragic consequence of loss of life from a bunch of different reasons. But importantly, Mary and Elizabeth in spirit could be the patron saints of that organization, lighting a candle for the loss of their sons. And so we feel that solidarity from that ancient biblical story to the people of the 21st century and how they're responding to grief. And so if you have lost a child or you know someone who has, know that we stand with you and that like you, we will be lighting a candle at 7 o'clock. And it's not just for the loss of children that we stand together, because standing together is what we can do in love today, this year. There have been other losses, businesses that have closed, people who haven't been able to continue their education. Not just the frivolous things, but core values. People are losing their homes, and of course, the extraordinary loss of life. And in the midst of all that, we hold up this young teenage mother going to visit Elizabeth in her middle age, and both of them planning ahead. And we're invited to sit with them and to talk with them and learn from them what it's like to do that. And so our gospel story refreshes our spirits this morning. And even though we aren't able to do what we've always done, we're reminded that it's not the wrapping that makes Christmas. We heard about presents. We hear about it all the time. And maybe you're one of those people who's actually able to make homemade wrapping paper. Or you spend time putting on the right bow and then mailing it off because you can't deliver it in person this year. But underneath it all, you can't keep a present unopened. You have to snip the ribbon and rip the tape. And that's one of the great dividing points, isn't it? That every family has someone who's very careful and slow and folds the paper down with their hands so it's ready for recycling. And then there's others who just rip it open. Because the wrapping is not the point. It's what's inside. That's the ultimate point. And our traditions we've discovered this year, even the tradition of getting together to sing, that's the wrapping. Underneath the present is that gift of love, that gift that Mary's singing about this morning in the Magnificat. There's a lighthearted reframe of a very well-known Christmas song that's making the circulations in the church right now. And it's Janice Young from Crescent Beach who wrote it. It says, "Oh, we miss our times of singing. With voices our church was ringing. And now we've no place to go, but let it go, let it go, let it go." Our church has not been stopping, though COVID has been a hoppin'. When sometimes we're feeling low, let it go, let it go, let it go. Now, our worship still fills our heart as we sing and pray in our home, but we simply can't be apart. In our faith, we are never alone. Well, our lives have been upended. Who can count the things suspended? But with faith and love aflow, let it glow, let it glow, let it glow. Let it glow, that holy light that comes from the story of that young mom. Let it glow, the story of the resilience of Elizabeth, holding up together in the face of the unknown. And we look at them and we feel the strength coming to us. We feel their faith and we feel the hope and the peace that comes from the depth of that relationship. We can't run to our cousins right now, but we can connect with them and with the ancient story and to feel a sense of, yes, we feel the spring coming. Yes, we see the light. This is the love of God expressed in gospel, in community, and in our hearts. Thanks be to God. Amen.